welcome to the broadcast. This is Leland Best over at Leland Best Live, and I want to welcome my two guests. I have Ani Alexander from London over in the UK, and I have Nazim Beltran over in Milan, Italy. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
We got some interesting stuff.
Thank you.
I'll just get right to it because there's no sense messing around. When you're going to talk about the Anna hustle, let's hustle it, right? So this conversation started between Nazim and I actually at one point where we were watching a video about Gary Vee interviewing Seth Godin. And it was kind of enlightening. And there was also an article that you discovered, Nazim, on, I believe, the New York Times, that was about this whole hustle culture that's out there right now.
No, it was on the New Yorker.
Oh, was it the New Yorker? Can you tell us a little bit about that article and what you found and how you felt about it?
Sure. Well, it's very interesting because the article concentrates on the fact that we are becoming a place where people are obsessed with the gig type approach to things and the things that we always have to be constantly running around. A little bit like, I like the formula of hustle, but there's a point where you kind of have to say like, okay, wait a second. Is the hustle productive or is it not productive? And the article was talking more about the fact that a lot of people are on Fiverr and on using all different types of instruments to really work extremely outrageous hours to produce work where they get basically underpaid for the amount of hours that they put in to produce the products that they produce or the services that they provide. And the interesting thing about the article was also this consciousness of like, we really have to kill ourselves. We have to run around here. We have to be constantly on the ball. And in the article, the author says, we are creating this as an automatic for, future generations, kids especially, that this is the way things are when obviously the three of us are from a different age set and a mindset where, if you're organized, you know how to hustle, you know how to do your thing, you have time to do work precisely in the time that you need to do it at the rates that you want to do it and get return on your services that you're providing. And at the same time, the main thing for me is family time. Because I don't, I really admire, I look at Gary Vee and everybody who's out there hustling, and I'm pretty sure that as much as they try to say that there isn't, there has to be something that gets sacrificed. In my personal opinion, it's probably family time.
What do you think, Annie?
Well, I think it's just, it's a matter of prioritizing things. So if you are putting all your eggs in one basket and that basket is hustling for your business, then it means the other components are being sacrificed at some extent. So definitely, it's a matter of choice. So there is no right and wrong thing. But if you are choosing that extreme of working nonstop, definitely you can't be, you are a less sort of family person or a less time spent with friends and socializing and all that stuff. So I guess even socializing, sometimes if you get into this hustle mode, you end up socializing only on events with people who are within your niche and within your field. So you don't really have this neutral sort of friend cycle, which are not within your business cycles as well.
So what you're kind of saying is if you're a hustler, all your friends are going to be hustlers most likely too, in a sense.
I think so.
From personal perspective, I was working for a civil engineering company when I was younger. I was about 19 at the time. And I was working an 8-hour shift, but I was about to have a child. And I had an engineer ask me, he says, would you like to come work for me? We'll watch all conflicts of interest and you can do CAD work for me out on the side. Well, it ended up being an 8-hour day job, come home, eat dinner, go back to work for 8 more hours, sleep for 4, and go back to work in the morning. So I was literally on a 20-hour day for about 2 years. And it just about crushed me. Yeah, it was crazy.
Well, I had the same. I had a very similar situation. I graduated from architecture in Miami, and I immediately went into the workforce, and I worked with a huge studio, which at the time was, we were quite understaffed considering the amount of work we had. So I would go in at 8:30 in the morning and come out every night at around 10:30. And Saturdays I would come in all day. And obviously I was getting paid overtime. It was great. And I was really, you know, there was a lot of financial benefits out of it. But I met my wife at the time, Betty, when she came over to Italy to Miami. When we met and we started dating, she once came to the office in the night and she says, you know what, this is crazy. I mean, this is really a little too much in the sense that that was the sort of workflow we had. So she said to me, you know, I don't think I can have a relationship with you if you're going to be, no, really, if you're going to be going down the road and I'm going to see you on a Sunday and maybe a Saturday evening and every night, you know, late at night. And we were dating at the time. Obviously, it was just dating. And I was 32 and this and that. But when I came back to Italy, I moved back here in 1992, then I realized, okay, well, here people work hard, they organize themselves very well, but they also play hard, and there's a big respect towards family time.
Yeah. All right, we got a hello coming in from the crowd. Just letting people know.
Hey.
I'm going to move this over, Ani, before I let you talk. If you do want to leave a comment out underneath the show, it will be brought in the social feed.
Alfredo.
So address that as that comes up. But Ani, let's get your perspective on your own hustle.
Well, I mean, I had these times in corporate myself as well. And since I was working in Armenia, although for international organization and big brand, big telecom brand, we didn't have the financial benefit either. So no one was paid for the overtime that we were having. So that's another issue. Big difference. So we were sort of, you know, we didn't even have this why of justifying ourselves. So we felt just like zombies going through the thing. It was a huge launch for the country. So, you know, the company was entering the market and all that stuff. So it was more like emotional sort of challenge, overcoming challenge, proving yourself type of thing, and teamwork, helping each other, and sort of, you know, it was completely based on the emotional part. But once this whole thing vanishes with the time, you know, you can't really keep the motivation for years. After a while, once it starts diminishing, you end up sort of, you know, your brain switches on again, and you end up thinking like, what for? You know, why am I in this cycle? And because my only me time that I had, because I also was balancing this with family and the child and all that stuff, were the 15 minutes when I was driving to the work in the morning and 15 minutes when I was driving back home when it was already dark. So those were like my only, and I was still driving. And I mean, believe in Armenia is a completely different experience. So it's not like you, it's any time or you relax much. So that's all I had during the whole day. And when you go through that and you see how it impacts, because in the beginning you don't feel the impact. You're like, okay, you know, this is what I'm supposed to do. And it feels okay. But later on it accumulates and it hits back at you in terms of, you know, the relationships you had, the family that, you know, does not feel so healthy anymore, and your health as well, because you feel like you're fine, but at some point it hits you back immediately with many symptoms at the same time. So, you know, there are problems with sleep, there are problems with appetite, you feel, you know, stressed and depressed most of the time, you know, your mood swings are pretty sort of hectic and all that stuff. So you think that you can carry on like this forever, but at some point, you know, your body sort of talks back to you, and you do get into a stage where you have to make decisions and sort of downsize and get back to normal life.
Yeah, I experienced the health issues. It was one of those things where you come to near collapse at some point, because stress is obviously one of the things that causes most of the disease and problems with health in the world. And what are you doing to yourself? You're putting yourself under an extreme amount of stress. I'm hearing myself in my ear, so I apologize if I choke on my words sometimes. It's something we couldn't straighten out before I got the show going. So I see a lot of people, a lot of kids, young folks following people like Gary Vee and others. There's even that little kid out there with his dad. He's like 14. I don't remember his name. He's a marketer.
Caleb?
Yes.
I think it's
Caleb.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Bravo.
I'm saddened by that. Honestly, his
I am
dad's
a little,
driving him.
yeah.
He's capitalizing on him, and this kid may have great motivation, but the motivation comes from within, honestly. It's not about, I tell people this all the time. You can go to all the Tony Robbins webinars and seminars and be live and get motivated, but if he's not on your shoulder when you leave there, it's up to you. All right, your motivation has to come from within.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I totally agree.
really
I think all these motivational experts, which are, you know, you take them a little bit. There's an approach where I can understand that they do help you with their consulting and with their, you know, but you have to grab those things and put them and bring them into the perspective of the sort of person that you are, the sort of world that you are involved in, and then get the benefits like there. But I think it does not have to be an obsession. And sometimes it's an obsession for people, you know, that this is the way I have to follow this game plan so that I can become successful. Be it Grant Cardone, be it Tony Robbins, being, you know, all the experts that I keep seeing. I've never gone to any of these seminars. Obviously, living in Italy, it would be very difficult to do that. Maybe there is something online, but it's the sort of thing where it's not the sort of thing that at 57 that I'm really interested in or in need of at this moment.
Annie, what about you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was many years ago, I was a self-development blogger at some point. So
okay.
I'm not sure,
Okay.
I'm not sure if people know that, but yeah, I've been that for about 2 years. And so basically I have found out one thing, that when we're talking about hustle and corporate world in particular and all that stuff, very often people get into this flow of the structured and planned life, like, you know, and they're playing upon expectations. So you're supposed to graduate the school, you're supposed to go to university, graduate university, get a nice job, climb the career ladder, get married, have kids, and all that stuff. So that is the standard thing that people expect from you. And many people don't really pause and try to understand what they want themselves. So that is the problem. We sort of, many people sort of follow the flow because they think that's the only way and that's the way that they're supposed to live. So I guess these inspirational speakers and the self-development industry in general, what it does is it sort of shakes people up, wakes them up and say, you know, you do have a choice. You can consider something else instead of what has been written for you as a life scenario. And but that's all it does. That's all it gives. Later on, it's up to you to sort of, you know, change your values or make changes or practice the thing and make things happen. That's already something that, you know, no one can do for you. And it all depends how determined you are and how really you want to change things. So it's really within, it's really your stuff. And I guess the problem with motivational speakers such as Tony Robbins and such is that they always take things like, you know, in one perspective. So there is one way, and that is the way that I tell you. And I'm never a fan of the standard stuff because I think we all are different and we all have completely different needs. So we have to, no matter what we consume, we later on have to decide for ourselves and modify it and structure it such way that it's really convenient for us, for our lives, for our, you know, families and lifestyle. So that is the important thing, because many people sort of, I know it's very easy to digest and copy and paste the way things are, you know, thrown at us. But I don't think it's the right approach because, you know, me, Leland, Nazim, we're all different. So if we do the same thing the same way, it won't work the same way for us. We will all get different results at the end anyway.
Yeah, and
I totally agree. I totally agree with what Annie just said. I totally agree with what Annie just said. Perfect.
All right, well, that was good. That's the easy way, because the reason
she couldn't put it. She couldn't put it any better, because we discussed this before in the sense that we are all very different, and that does not mean that. I mean, I have talked to a business coach in the past, and the insights when it's a one-to-one session, they can really focus down on you and say, like, okay, this is what you might be not looking at or not, you know, and they look at it from an outside perspective, which gives a lot of value. So in that sense, where you know, I think it's really valuable when you find a person that does that in that sort of approach. When it's in sort of the mass approach to after the big, you know, whatever, influencer or whatever, I'm a little bit skeptical about that.
Yeah, and I see it all the time. There's a lot of marketers in this industry, especially when it comes to the hustle, because they're all out there trying to market either themselves or someone else. And what I think I'm seeing the most is those who are marketing and trying to build this following are trying to tell people, okay, you need to follow what I do, and then you'll have the same success I have. And 99% of the time, those people that try to follow someone else's program are going to fail because they're either going to lose interest halfway through because it doesn't resonate with them, or they're just going to realize this isn't about me. This isn't what I'm trying to do. So I always encourage those, and especially recently, I mean, there's been this huge influx of individuals from Pakistan who have gone into live streaming, college students, doctors, lawyers, from all walks of life. And they have somewhat of a hustle mentality. They want to know what's going on. They want to come to the U.S. They want to find out what's going on in the world, and they really want to make an impact. But I think in the end, unless you do it your own way and you find a way to do it yourself and simply be yourself, you're going to struggle and step over someone else's toes trying to do it their way. So why waste your time?
Yeah, I completely agree, because I think the thing is that all these people who preach hustle, I mean, why people misunderstand them is they think that the only component of success is hustle. So if they only did that, if they hustled and that's only, they would really get this success, and that's the only thing they need to do. While it's just, you know, one component of a whole thing, because it includes so many other components as well. It's not just the hustle. But what is very dangerous these days is that all these people who are talking about hustle, they have created this romanticized image of hustling, and they have pushed so much the idea that, you know, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to hustle all the time, that at some point people who follow them, as long, you know, whenever they take a day off or whenever they don't hustle at that moment, they do feel guilty. So the problem is that they don't reward themselves for the achievements, so they don't really celebrate small victories, because it's a process. So they do achieve loads of stuff in between. They do get some results, but they don't take the time to celebrate, to appreciate, to take a pause and sort of, you know, realize that there are something, you know, there is something there and they have achieved some stuff. That is why they are all, most of them are always unsatisfied, because they are comparing with these big names. They are not there yet. So they always think that they have failed, that they aren't there yet, so they hustle even harder in order to get there faster. And it's a whole cycle they get into, and they don't even enjoy the process. But usually most of them left their corporate jobs because they didn't like what they were doing for 8 hours. So they started doing what they thought they liked for 14 hours a day. And just because it's in this cycle mode and in this negative mentality, they don't enjoy that either. So they sort of swapped a thing they didn't enjoy 8 hours a day for something they don't enjoy anymore for 14 hours a day, which for me doesn't make sense.
I have the picture. If you guys don't see it, this is a new feature that just arrived on vMix 19 is what I'm using. So let me just address the audience for just a moment. I'll flip back over here to the other page. We had Kellerman ask what I was using to broadcast 3 people out here, and I forgot that I have the images turned on. So when I did the link in the comments, it actually posted the image also. I use vMix 19. It's a recent version that came out from vMix, which is developed over in Australia by a gentleman by the name of Martin Sinclair. vMix Call is the feature that was added to this latest version, which allows me through WebRTC to bring in 2 individuals or more. I can go up to 10 if I wanted to with the pro version that I have. So I brought Ani and Nazim in from across the globe. Ani over in London and Nazim in Italy were able to call in on a website, use a code, and come in through the back end of the software, and then I simply put them up on the screen for everybody to see. And it's one of those things, if you need any more information about it, head over to my website at BCB Live or head to vmixhd.com, and you'll download a 60-day free version if you want to check it out.
Cool.
So where should we take it from here, guys? We've already been online for almost a half an hour. I wasn't intending on this being an hour show at all. I just think one of the things we needed to address was the fact that hustle is kind of viral right now. What I think that bothers me the most about it is if you got these people out there yelling and screaming and it's got to be this, and if you're not go, then you're not with me and you're not part of this tribe or whatever you want to call it. It's sad that it's come to that, but I do believe people will come to a realization over time that, okay, that wasn't for me. You know, that just didn't work out. I would recommend right off the bat, if you're coming out of school, coming out of college, you're ready for the hustle, you're single, go for it. Do what you want, but watch your health. Watch the stress levels. But when you start to raise a family and children and all that, that is not the place for the hustle in my eyes, because I've seen the effects. It does take a toll on the family unit, so we need to be careful and just to be able to balance life and work together to make it work. Go ahead and give us a few more comments.
Yeah.
Annie first.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, many people sort of, leave the corporate life for the freedom of being flexible in terms of time, for being flexible in terms of where they work from, whether it's their house or a coffee shop, or they can travel while they are working, in terms of freedom of what kind of things they are doing. They can podcast, they can create online content, they can consult, whatever they feel like doing. So this is the most attractive thing that, that drives people into getting into this online business kind of structure. And I think hustle kind of overcomes and takes it over, because if you are hustling all the time, you lose that freedom, but you started everything because of that. So, just, you won't be free by putting yourself in the mentality that you are supposed to hustle nonstop, because that will, it will put you exactly in the same situation where you are now in corporate, let's say, if you are working full time, because if you are hustling full time, then you still can't travel, you still can't take days off, you still can't be flexible about what you do and, where and when you do things, because it will sort of now hustle, instead of your boss, hustle will dictate how and when and where do you do stuff. So that is the thing. Always remember, whenever you are like getting into a cycle, always remember why you started all that in first place. What was your end goal? What you wanted to achieve? And go from there, because probably what you're getting into completely contradicts to what you wanted to achieve in the first place.
I agree.
That's a very good point. I think I'd like to add a little bit to that, what just Annie said. I hope that people do not confuse us watching the live or watching the replay. One thing is that whole hustle thing. Another thing is hard work. Absolutely. Hard work is always necessary. I mean, when you're starting your business, when you're working in corporate, my transition was I worked in corporate, and then parallel to that, I opened my own business. And that's the way it's currently happening for me right now. I'm still in corporate, and I'm also involved, have my own business running on the side. I've never done the full switch. And it makes for a lot of traveling and a lot of things. But if you organize your time well, if you organize your staff well, your team players, when in the digital agency that we have here in Milan, they're programmers. Everybody works from 9 to 6, and that's it. At night, we're not going into program, because there's a thing called burnout factor, which we've discussed it before. And there's this whole thing that, I got to get this done. No, if you organize the time, and people are very well, I think time management is essential, be it from your own time management as an individual, as a starting entrepreneur, or inside the corporate setting. You rarely have to really go and do those late after hours where everybody's like, you've noticed that people are working late in offices, but they're not as productive as they are during the day, because they just slacked off and let things. Oh yeah. So in my mind, that's why at 57 I'm involved in project management. There's a lot of things involved regarding like, okay, this gets done by this and this and that. That doesn't mean that then there's the final 2 days prior to launching a website or a project that has to be finished. You do spend the time, but you don't go overnight to finish. And you just basically spend the time and you go, okay, guys, tomorrow we continue with this. Yes. And there's a balance. And that's hard work, and that's organization and time management. the hustle phenomenon is, you know, I think there's a lot of people that need to redefine it maybe, because a lot of people think like, well, you know, he's all over the place, all over the time. He's in the car at 4 a.m. He's up, you know, he's on, you know, at 5 and he's like this and that. When does he get time to be with his family or do what this, you know? And if you do time management, you have time to be. You say no. The nighttime is like, I'm not going to get a call from the programmer to, you know, to deal with issues, and I'm not going to, you know. The next day we take care of it. See you tomorrow. Saturdays and Sundays should also be, you know, in my opinion, sacred. And that's why sometimes you need to like, okay, you have a vacation place to go to, or, you know.
And it is dependent, I think, and then I'll allow you guys to let people know where to find you both. But along the lines also, as I spoke earlier, when I was doing that 20-hour day, I was working as a civil engineer's tech, and I was also running a design business on the side. And besides that, I was a volunteer fireman, which was during the 9/11. I signed up right before that. So there are some certain careers that don't allow for that break all the time, where you're done hustling and all of a sudden the pager goes off and you've got to go because there's somebody's life on the line, and that was a big difference. But all in all, we do have to take breaks. We do need to relax. We have to be with our family, and we need to make certain that we take care of our health and our individual mindset and emotional state, or otherwise those who are part of our family are going to suffer from that. So, Ani, how do we find you out here on social media, and what can we do for you at any point?
Okay, so my website is anialexander.com. So there you can find pretty much everything. My podcast, mainly the social channels I'm present at, my Patreon page where you can support me if you'd like, and all that stuff. So the hub is my website, and from there you can choose the best way to connect. I'm mostly I'm spending lots of time, maybe more time than I'm supposed to, on Facebook, and
we're on Facebook?
But yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, I'm always sort of, open to connect, and I always reply to emails and messages.
Absolutely. And can we download your podcasts off of iTunes? Do you have podcasts?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
maybe you know what would be good is maybe Annie, if she can put the links inside the live
after the
Facebook.
broadcast, go ahead and drop them in the comment section here. And I've listened to Ani's broadcasts and podcasts in the past. She does a wonderful job as a brand architect. So if that's something you're interested in, you want to do podcasting, you want to build your brand, you want to make sure that you have a presence in social media and a voice, she's all about the voice. Nazim, what about you?
Well, basically, I'm involved in a project with my wife that's going on for 2 years now, which is called Casa Chiesi. And you can find us at casachiesi.com. I'll put the link also inside of the Facebook video. And you can also find us on Casa Chiesi Facebook page. Give us some love, give them some like. Me and my wife, we talk about Italy, Italian lifestyle from the point of view of a couple, of an American and married to an Italian living in Italy. And I think if you're into Italy, you'll find a lot of interesting things on the website and also on the Facebook. We also do live videos, and we are going to Sicily at the end of the month. We will be doing a 360 from the main piazza in Palermo.
Awesome.
Wow.
And if you have not been to Casa Chiesi's page at all anywhere, he already has some 360 video on there where he'll step out onto a ledge at a hotel and you can see the ocean side all around you. There's some really awesome stuff over there. So, Ani, you wanted to say something?
That's the hustle on the edge. That's a real hustle.
Oh, for sure. I think I'm getting a little glitch anyway on my audio. So before my headset dies, I got my Bluetooth charged, but I don't think I charged it enough. I want to thank both of you for taking some time out of your day out of London and Milan to come over here on the show and talk about the hustle. So thanks for being here. And all of our guests, we appreciate everything you do. If it weren't for you, these shows would kind of be worthless, but that's why we come out here, is to connect with the audience and create more relationships. So until next time, this is Leland Best over at BCB Live. We'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
All right, we're done.
That was cool. Are we off?
Yeah,
Well,
I put those together a while ago. I just never use them.
that was fun. That was good.
Yeah, I think that worked
Yeah.
really well. I think we'll get some good responses on that. Okay,
I
guys,
think it
I
was
gotta let you
good,
go.
taking into account we didn't prepare. So.
Hey,
I know. I made a document, but nobody looked at it.
I tried. It wouldn't connect me. It said you didn't have access. So I sent a response to say, give me access. It's all on you, dude. All right, guys. Take care. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Take care.
No, thank you. Ciao, ciao.